and welcome to our exciting Baltic podcast, Technically Speaking. This is a show where we'll be unpacking the ever-growing areas of the tech industry and bringing you expert insight and inspiration to tackle your career. Now, in this episode, we are joined by the fantastic Nina, a software engineer for Microsoft, a Women Tech Makers Ambassador at Google, head of grants at Girl Dreamer, and so much more, which we will unpack very soon. But hi, Nina, how are you?
Hi, Isabel. I'm good. Thank you so much for having me here. I'm so glad to be part of the podcast series. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's so great to have you here with us, Nina, and we're so excited to dive into this episode. But first, just before we get started, we're going to kick off this episode with something I like to call the Baltic Super Quiz. So we're just going to have some quick spitfire questions, just so our listeners can get to know you that little bit better. These questions only require one answer. For example, it'd be like tea or coffee, and then you'll say your answer, summer or winter, and you'll say your answer. Are you ready?
Um, as ready as I can be.
And if you don't like any of them, that's okay too. Let's go for it. Okay, so Galaxy or Cadbury's chocolate?
Oh, Cadbury?
Cadbury, that is a good shout. Winter or summer?
Summer.
Summer, definitely. Dogs or cats?
Um, Dogs maybe?
Dogs, yeah. Do you have any pets?
No, I don't.
No.
I'm just working on keeping myself alive instead of
That's, I love that. Same. Okay, let's
Yeah.
go into maybe some of your sort of industry specific ones. JavaScript or Python?
Python,
Python. Front end or back end development?
backhand,
Back end. And last one, debugging solo or pairing up with a colleague?
pair programming for sure.
Oh, cool. Well, thanks for answering those. I feel like we know you that little bit better now. But just to jump straight into things and to sort of carry on this sort of topic, to start us off, why don't you just tell us a bit about yourself, Nina, and how you maybe came to get into the software engineering route? Is it something you always wanted to do, and that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I guess I'll start from the beginning. So I'm Nina. I was born and grew up in Beijing, China, and I came to the UK in 2015 and to study for my undergrad degree. So I did my degree actually very randomly in psychology because it was something that I was really interested in. I'm still very interested in psychology, but I think very quickly during my degree I realized it wasn't something that I wanted to pursue as a career, despite my interest in the subject. So when in my final year, I decided to pursue a career in technology. So I applied for a whole bunch of graduate schemes and ended up joining PwC as a technology risk associate as a grad. And then I was there for 3 years before I left as a technology data and analytics senior associate, which is basically a technology consulting role, to join Microsoft in the middle of 2021 as a cloud solution architect. And I was in the cloud solution architect role at Microsoft for about 9 months before I joined the engineering org as a software engineer. So now I work as a software engineer at Microsoft. I'm in the Microsoft Cloud for Industry team in ISV engineering. So I work with independent software vendors to create industry-wide solutions. So it's definitely been uh, not a linear journey that how I got here. So I think I'm still trying to figure out what I want to do and just trying different things out. But I think I really sort of enjoy my journey into the tech industry, and I think it's a really great place with a lot of learning and growth and just super exciting. Yeah.
Yeah, oh, well, it's great to hear that you've sort of been in a different variety of roles and to get you to where you are now. But I know you're also a part of many other things as well. So if you're able to, I'd love for you to unpack your role as an ambassador for the Women in Tech Makers at Google. Like, what does this entail? How is this important to you?
Yeah, definitely. I've always been super passionate about diversity and inclusion in the tech space. Part of it is, like gender balance within the
Mm.
industry because technology, like the tech industry, has traditionally been very male dominated, and in recent years there has been a drive to attract and retain more female talents in the sector. So yeah, and I it's something that I'm really passionate about, and I think I really want to contribute to this cause. So yeah, so I found out about Google's Women Tech Makers program last year through previous colleague of mine from PwC, and yeah, and I just applied and became an ambassador, and it's been great because it sort of gave me a platform and gave me like a lot of opportunities to speak at conferences, to like network with other ambassadors, to collaborate together and work together to diversify the tech industry. And yeah, so I've been able to sort of speak at Google's like International Women's Day event earlier this year in March, and also I spoke at the Google INO extended like conference like a couple of months ago as well. So yeah, I think it's just a really great platform to it kind of motivates me to do more public speaking and yeah, and just engage more with the community as well. I think because like they kind of as an ambassador they require people to have at least one activity every 3 months. I think it can be sort of mentoring, can be public speaking, can be content creation, it can be organizing events. So I think it's a really great way to like for women to support each other and also just to motivate me to do more and to support fellow women in the tech industry and also those who want to get into the industry as well.
Yeah, I love that. That's amazing. So, in terms of that, how would you say that the industry is evolving in terms of like women in tech?
Yeah, definitely. I think there have been a lot of like initiatives or programs that are specifically sort of targeted at women. And I think like different companies will have like like Google has the Women Tech Maker program, and yeah, and I think it's just program like this or like organizations that specifically train women into the tech industry. So for example, I was part of the Tech Hub Women program, I think back in like 2019.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a program that's a collaboration between a couple of universities, led by the University of Durham and also Institute of Code, to train and retrain women into the tech industry. So yeah, and also other organizations like Code First Girls as well. I think there are just a lot of really great, whether if it's training program or network or just like ERGs, so employee resource groups that are targeted at women in the tech industry that I think is really valuable, to the learning, the networking, and just the support that you get from other women. I think it's really yeah, it's really amazing. And I think there are other sort of organizations that target perhaps more on a more grassroots level as well. Like so, I think and it's not necessarily just the tech industry, but also the wider sort of STEM um, like realm to just to get more women and more girls into STEM, which where they're we're traditionally underrepresented. I think it just opens a lot doors for women. I think I really like sort of I think I saw a quote somewhere about it's not about sort of yeah, it's about giving women the fair advantage that they previously been deprived of because of inequality and stereotypes and just discouragement from school, from teachers, etc. In the education system, in the workplace. I think it's to elevate women and giving women the equal opportunities that and the access to these sort of these the education, the training, and the network and the jobs that we deserve to get.
Yeah. Oh, well, it's really great to like see that that landscape sort of is evolving for women and those opportunities are coming about as well. But to go alongside that, what advice would you give maybe a younger woman who's thinking about entering into the software industry, especially when I guess the industry is constantly changing? One, how would you advise them on to stay up to date with everything that's going on in the software industry, but ultimately how to get into the industry quite confidently?
Yeah, I think for me, um, like it really depends on what stage of life you're in.
Yeah.
So obviously, I think um, if if it's for someone who maybe still in school, I would definitely, recommend doing pursuing the degree that you want to do that interests you, whether if it's, you know, computer science or maybe data science,
Yeah.
math, or anything that you want to do. I think because I think personally growing up, I was always like doing sort of STEM subjects at school, and I was good at them. But I think like for example, my mom just said that like when I was younger that girls are not as good at STEM subjects as boys, and I think that's like for me, I think it was quite like I guess discouraging or damaging at the
Yeah.
time as a kid. And I think now looking back, I feel like I shouldn't have like let that influence my decisions or anything. But I think it's the same for the advice I would give to like girls that are still in school. Don't let anybody else deter you from pursuing your passion, whether whether if it's your family or your teacher or like your classmates or whatnot. I think if you know what you want to do, definitely be firm with your decision and yeah, don't let anybody stop you from pursuing your dream. So yeah, and I think if you're if for somebody who is already at uni, I would definitely like again, this is a mistake. Like I'm literally talking from sort of the mistakes that I've made. Like when I was at uni, I didn't really like didn't realize like the sort of the other opportunities that you can get whilst you're still in education, all the internships like spring weeks and etc. Yeah, I think they're super, super valuable, not just to get the experience, but I think speaking to a lot of people like friends and colleagues, etc., is actually a really good way to find out what you want to do and what you don't want to do. Because I know a lot of people that did an internship and realized that they didn't like it. And they think, oh, I just wasted, 2 months, three
Yeah.
months on this internship. No, it's not a waste of time because that's the purpose of internship. You try something out and you realize if you like it or not. So I think even if you do an internship, first of all, do internships. And secondly, if you do an internship and you don't like it, it's not a waste of time because
No.
you don't want to be stuck in a full-time job that you
Yeah.
don't like. And internship is a great way to figure that out, to figure out your passion. So yeah, I think just try as many things as possible, even if it's something that perhaps is not your first choice. I think trying different things because it might just end up being something you actually enjoy. And I
Yeah.
think there are so many roles, so many opportunities in the tech industry. Because I think I used to think, again, from speaking from my mistake, I used to think you have to, if you're if you studied computer science, you become a software engineer. And if you want to become a software engineer, you have to have studied computer science. And
Yeah.
both of them are just misconceptions. And I think I'm sure a lot of people also have that misconception, just like I did. And I'm a software engineer, and I didn't study computer science. And I know a lot of computer scientist students that are not doing software engineering because there are so many roles in tech. Software
Yeah, it's
engineering is
true.
not the only role in tech. You can be like a customer engineer. You can be like I was a cloud solution architect. You can be a product manager. You can be like a program manager. So there are just a lot of you can be a seller as well. And having technical skill as a seller also, like if that's something that you enjoy, you're good at, it's a really good career. And I think there's no really the sky is the limit. There's so many opportunities, a variety of opportunities in the tech industry. And yeah, and people regularly sort of jump between different roles to try different things out, and each individual is different and we all enjoy different things. So for example, I'm a software engineer and I want to move into actually product management because I feel
Right.
like I would enjoy that more, and I think it would suit my skill set more as well. And
Yeah.
yeah, I'm just in general more passionate and more interested in the role and the responsibility involved in like product management. Whereas I also have friends who move the other way around from product management into software engineering because they like the coding aspect of it. They like, solving a problem, being hands-on, and just deep in the code. So it's really different from individual to individual. So trying different things out and never be afraid to change. I think yeah, I guess that's the advice I would give to anybody who is maybe in similar position as me. Maybe you're already working, whether if it's in or outside of the tech industry.
Mm.
No matter what role you're in, it doesn't matter. Like you're not stuck there forever.
No.
If you're unhappy about it, you can always find something else, and it's very fluid. Tech industry I think is very um, for the lack of a better word, very forgiving to people. You
Yeah.
can make mistakes. You can, because and you can join later on in life. You can join without formal education or sort of academic background in a particular area. I think it's very um, non-elitist and democratic compared to like sort of some other industries. Obviously, there's still this concept of like prestige, but I think relatively speaking, it's very open. I think that's what technology is. It's very sort of constantly evolving. So yeah, it's all about the growth mindset. So
Mm.
if you don't like your job, or even if you like your job but you want to try something new, definitely go for it. And I think it's the advice I'm like trying to give myself as well because I am in the process of trying to move into a new role. And yeah, and there are moments I'm like, yeah, this is never gonna work. But so I'm like hyping myself up, picking myself up
Yeah.
as well. I'm like, yeah, this will work. It just takes time and patience and perseverance, because the market at the moment is not great. We're in sort of a recession, economic crisis or
Mhm.
whatnot, and especially in the tech industry, there are like massive layoffs and etc. But it's gonna pass. It's temporary. So I think I just gotta be patient and wait for the right opportunity to come along and keep trying. So yeah.
Oh, amazing. Well, I feel so inspired, even just from hearing that. But I just love what you're saying that if you're passionate about it, just go for it. And especially in terms of getting that experience that you don't know till you try and if it's right for you. But yeah, thanks for sharing that. That was very inspirational. We're going to jump to a different question now, which we've had from one of our learners actually been sent in, and it's around the topic of imposter syndrome. And now I know this is something that many individuals face at different times of their careers and lives. Have you ever had to deal with this? And if you have, like how and how has it impacted you in the industry and that kind of stuff?
Yeah, definitely. I think that's a really good question. Um, I honestly, I don't know if there's anybody out there that has never felt like an imposter.
Mm.
I think I definitely feel it still to this day, like not like all the time, but a lot of the times.
Yeah.
I think especially because I come from a non-traditional background, so my journey into tech industry is very like non-linear and also
Mm.
just non-traditional. So I definitely have a lot of moments where I'm just like why am I here? Why did they hire me? There's so many computer science grads out there. Why didn't they hire somebody with the formal qualification and the
Mm.
solid education background in the subject that's directly related to the job? Why did they hire me? I did psychology. That's completely unrelated. So I
Yeah.
definitely feel that like a lot of the times. But at the same time, I think anybody would know like even if you study the subject at uni, that's directly related to whatever you're doing, like it's very different in real life.
Yeah.
I think academic sort of experience doesn't directly translate into into sort of the work environment and the work you actually do in the job. And I think, yeah, so like for example, I studied psychology, but do I feel like I can be a psychologist? Absolutely not. And I think a lot of the times, I kind of assume that, oh, computer science grads, they know everything. They can just
Mm.
like hit the ground running when they join the company as a software engineer. But that's actually not true
Yeah.
either. I think um, lot of people also feel like, oh, I don't know anything, or like, oh, there's so much to learn. And I think we're all in the same boat. And I think especially from a sort of a tech perspective as well, um, I think it's one of the it's not easy, but it's one of the most accessible um, subject or accessible um, area to self-taught. Because there's just so many resources, so many sort of free even courses or materials like online, whether if it's like sort
Mm.
of MLOCs from re, re, sort of famous like top universities around the world, or if it's just YouTube video or books. There's just so many resources out there. So yeah, and I think as long as you have the drive and the motivation and the belief in yourself, I think it's all possible to learn.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really matter like the formal education my like for example at the moment in my team so the manager that hired me in the team to my current team um, and my manager's manager, so my skip manager, neither of them actually went to uni, and for me that's so impressive that they got to where they are. I think it's more impressive than somebody maybe from a more traditional background. So I'm sure during their career they also felt like imposters, but they
Mm.
ended up, you know, where they are, and it's just amazing. And my manager also didn't study computer science. She did go to uni, but she also didn't study computer science. So I think just looking at these people, it made me realize, um, yeah, it's all in the mind. There's
Yeah.
nothing, um, yeah, there's nothing else sort of in reality that would make me feel like that make me look like an imposter. It's all in my mind, and I think that's something. Um, I learned recently as well, like a lot of the barrier that we perceive are
Mm.
in our minds, and I think we just have to adopt like a growth mindset and like truly trust and believe in ourselves, and yeah, and it
Yeah.
doesn't mean that we'll get um like everything we want and everything will be a smooth sail, but it just means that um you know we're open and we are like yeah, working towards whatever dreams we have and whatever ambitions we have. And I think that's the most important thing is like the mindset that we that we have with us when we're on
Mm.
this journey. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely. That's great, that. And I think as well, I think more people are more willing to open up about these kinds of things. And the more we talk about it, you realise that the people go through this and you can sort of empower each other on that journey as well. But that's great. Thank you for answering that question. That was brilliant. Okay, we're going to jump into a different aspect now. So, we've talked about your professional journey, we've talked about some other elements, but what about your hobbies and interests outside of tech? So, what do you do to enjoy in your free time? What do you do to relax, rewind, that kind of stuff?
This is gonna sound super cliche, but I love traveling.
Love it. Yeah.
Um, yeah, I think I have like maybe 7 trips this year.
Oh, wow.
So
Oh, my
yeah, like
goodness.
I think in January, like for New Year, I was in Italy,
Oh,
and then
wow.
February I was in Spain,
Oh, my goodness.
April I was in Denmark, and then what? April in Denmark. Oh, and then July, I was in Austria, Germany and Austria,
Wow.
and then next month I'm going to Germany again
Oh, my goodness.
to another area, and then September going to Romania, and
Oh,
then no, actually, sorry, October, November, so Halloween going to Romania, and then
okay.
December, like Christmas, New Year, I'm going to the Netherlands. So yeah,
Oh,
I
wow.
love traveling. Yeah, because so I actually like So I'm because I'm not from here and I still have a Chinese passport. So I have to get like the Schengen visa to travel to Europe. So every time I get the visa, I'm like I have to make the most out of it.
Yeah,
So I'll
I can
just
imagine.
travel a lot. So yeah, so whenever I get the opportunity to, so that, and I also love, so like I think, I saw this somewhere again because I'm like really interested in psychology, right? And
Mm,
like change is honestly a really great thing for mental health. It's like
yeah,
better than therapy
yeah,
because when you like kind of get out of your daily routine and go somewhere new, sort of the sort of that change really sort of fuels um your mental health and gets you to a different place and sort of just make you feel better and make you sort of come back more
yeah,
like energized and just yeah, and so I think I definitely think that's something that I always look forward to my next trip.
yeah,
Uh,
definitely.
yeah, and the other thing I think I really enjoy is like music. I love music, like I sing, and I also play the guitar and ukulele. I think it's a really great way to just relax and chill. And I think I always say like I'm an artist at heart, so I just love sort of anything artsy. Like I also write poems as well.
Oh, wow.
It's something I really enjoy doing. So yeah, when I go on trips, sometimes I would like do like open mic night. I would like play some songs in front of an audience, or like I would like read some of my poems, like a sort of like a almost like spoken words and stuff. So yeah, I really enjoy that as well. Uh, yeah, I think
That's
um,
amazing.
yeah, because I think I think I am somebody who just have a lot of different interests.
Mm,
And I think it's keeping me like well-rounded, and I think I never get bored of anything. Like I get bored of things, but I'll never get bored of life.
yeah.
I think yeah, because I just have so many things that I'm interested in. I always like recycle my hobbies, I guess. I think I'll do something very intensively, maybe for like a couple of weeks, couple of months, and I'll forget about it for a period of time, but I always go back to it. Like I skate as well, so I do inline skating, and I was doing it very intensively, like in 2020 when the pandemic first started.
Mm.
During the summer, I would go like every single day, and I kind of forgot about it for like 2 summers. And this summer, I started it again.
Oh,
So yeah, I really enjoyed that as well. And yeah, so I think I just do a lot of fun things. And yeah, so I think those are maybe like my main hobbies. Oh, I also love learning languages.
oh, wow,
So
that's cool. I'd love to do that.
yeah. Yeah, it's so much fun because you get to like meet new people and they're like super impressed. So I speak Mandarin, that's my native language, and
Hmm.
speak English, obviously.
Yeah.
And and I also the only other language I speak fluently is Spanish,
Oh, that's cool.
and because I really love the sort of like Latin culture.
Yeah.
Since I was a kid, I was just really obsessed. So yeah, and that has led me to a lot of, really great friends. And also at work, I'm also involved in like the OLA ERG, which is
Mm.
the employee resource group for Latinos and Hispanics. Yeah, and it just opened so many doors for me. I met so many interesting, fun people, and people are always so nice to me when they found out that I speak Spanish, and they're just
Yeah, I
like,
can
"Wow, that's
imagine.
so cool," because it's so like sort of they're so always so shocked because I'm from China, like it's
Yeah.
completely unrelated. And I just love that, and everybody has reacted so positively towards this. And yeah, and I just love learning about the culture from people and just getting to know the people as well. They're always so friendly and so welcoming towards me. So yeah, I think like learning a new language is really like a way to get to people's hearts. I think, yeah. And I'm learning German at the moment as well.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because I really want to like I think in a couple of years I would love to move to like Switzerland, like to Zurich. So yeah, and in the past I also learned Arabic, and people are always super impressed when I say that like just the simplest words in Arabic,
Yeah.
or like I can read Arabic as well. So it's like I'm actually very bad because I haven't looked at it for a long time, but people are still very impressed, and like I think it's just a really great sort of icebreaker because I think for me I love when other people knows know my culture, and
Mm.
I'm always like, wow, that's so interesting that you know this about my culture. And I think like it's the same for other people as well. When I know something about their culture, there's that just instant sort of connection, instant closeness between two people. And I think it's such a precious sort of connection, like the sort of human experience that I
Yeah.
get to have with other people, just because I'm interested in their culture and or know a bit about their language. So yeah, I think it's a great hobby to have.
Yeah, it's amazing. You've got a variety of things there, but it's really cool to have that. And you've inspired me to go learn Spanish because I've always wanted to learn Spanish. So I feel like I'm going to have to go and do that. And also very jealous of going to different countries, but I guess you've got to make the most of it, haven't you? When you've got that, definitely, definitely. But yeah, thanks for sharing that. We're totally going to jump onto a different topic right now. Something which I'm very aware that you'll have heard of is AI. It's obviously the big talk over the past couple of years, but specifically to the software industry, how do you feel like it's impacting or going to impact the software industry? Are you excited about it? Are you nervous about it? Do you use it in your job role? Why don't you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's like the buzzword that people keep throwing around at the moment, like AI this, AI and that. And
Yeah,
I definitely think it's super exciting because um, I use ChatGPT on like
yeah,
a regular basis if I want to, write an email or write a post on LinkedIn or whatnot. I think it's really, really helpful.
yeah,
Yeah, I think obviously it's not perfect, especially sort of with certain things.
yeah,
Um, yeah, but I think it's definitely helped a lot. Just um, from a day-to-day sort of life and work perspective. So for example, like instead of so for example if I'm stuck on a coding problem or I don't know the syntax to be fair a lot of the time is that I don't know the syntax because it's a new language or it's not a
mm,
language I'm familiar with, which
yeah,
happens a lot in my job because my team kind of there's a lot of different projects. So every project is new. So yeah, so I just would ask ChatGPT for it, and yeah, it's not always like 100% correct. I think
mm-hmm.
that's where the human sort of intelligence comes
Yeah,
in. You gotta use your own sort of judgments to sort of make sure it's working, but at the same time like sort of AI would give you a good baseline and a good sort of it's good at what it's good at, which is sort of the more um like fixed or like the more um the basic syntax, and you gotta
mm,
somehow adapt it to the particular problem.
yeah,
um and yeah, I think definitely there are people out there who might be worried about sort of, oh, is AI gonna take over our jobs, especially as software engineers. I think there are definitely sort of things that like things that works that we do that can be replaced
mm,
by AI, but that's not the whole story because there are certain things, like I said, that would still need human judgments and human intelligence because at least at the moment, um, yeah, they can't do everything, and most of the time the code an AI writes is like ChatGPT writes, it doesn't work. I have
yeah,
to sort of go in and actually understand the code and then tweak it to make sure I fit the problem, fit the solution that I'm looking for. So it definitely saves me time because
mm,
instead of typing sort of long sort of sections of code, I have something to um, like a base, but it doesn't mean that it's gonna work. It's not the
mm,
whole solution. So yeah, I think it's I always say this. I think it's not that AI will replace it. It will but instead it will support us and aid us and make our work and make our lives easier
yeah,
by providing the sort of um providing what it's good at. And then we as humans, as software engineers or just people who work in tech, we will have to use our intelligence to make sure that combined with AI to give us the best results. So I
Mm.
see as that as a collaboration instead of replacement or competition. Yeah, and I think yeah, there's so many sort of different things like GitHub Copilot that I think a lot of like software engineers or developers would have heard of or used. Like yeah, like I personally I use Visual Studio Code and I find that super helpful because it will give me suggestions. It's not always correct, but sometimes it's correct and it will just save
Mm.
me a lot of time from typing everything. So yeah, I definitely think it's a really exciting area and we definitely need um, sort of like more people sort of going into the area and develop solutions that will make our lives easier and make our work better. But at the same time, I think there's also like around sort of the regulation and AI ethics. I think that's a very, very important area to look into as well, because we need to make sure that like sort of the policies and the rules, the regulations are keeping up with the technological development. So I think just like anything else, like AI is a double-edged sword. I think we just need to
Mm.
learn how to use it because tools, technologies, they're never bad. They're never bad or good. It
No.
just really depends on how we use it, just with anything else. And I think as humans, we need to make sure that we're making the most out of the sort of the benefits that we can get from AI, and at the same time minimizing the risks and the threats that's posed by AI. So yeah, it all depends on us.
Yeah, 100%. I like what you said. I think the key word there was support. It's something to support you, but it's not a fully human thing. So as humans, we still need to go into that and check that over from our insight and perspective as well. But yeah, it's a very interesting topic, isn't it? It's very fascinating and how it's working with every industry, really, in many different ways. But yeah, very insightful and very cool. But just before we come to a close, we're going to jump to sort of some like career development kind of questions. So for someone, obviously, I know you said you went to university, you didn't actually study software, but you've obviously been in many different roles and you've developed your career over the years. Would you be able to recommend any books or courses or online resources that you could give to help some of our listeners to enhance their software journey?
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, because I am self-taught, so I use a lot of really sort of helpful resources online. I think
Yeah.
for anybody who wants to go into tech but kind of don't know where to start or don't really have a background, I would definitely recommend CS50.
Mm-hmm.
So it's from Harvard University, run by Professor David Malin. It's a really great sort of from the scratch, just foundational introduction into computer science. It's like probably the most popular course out there. um, I think I recommend it to everybody who wants to go into the tech industry because it really touches on a lot of really good topics from the very basics of like, you know, um, how does computers actually work?
Mm.
The binary system and that sort of stuff. The very basics to more like the more day-to-day sort of how do you write code? How do you write code that runs? How do you debug? I think it starts off with the language C, which is a very low-level language, and it moves on to Python, which is a very high-level language.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it gives people a really good foundation, starting point in sort of computer science. Yeah, and from there, there are like a lot of other courses out there as well. I think there's so many sort of MOC providers and platforms,
Mm.
and it really
True.
depends on what area you want to go into. I think I have a list of courses that I wanted to do, but sometimes there are overlaps, so I don't really do the whole course.
Mm.
I think actually, let me just have a look now because it's I
Yeah.
literally have it on my um in my like Notion. Yeah, I guess Notion is something just a very side note I really recommend. I think I organize my entire life in Notion. I think it's a really great sort of way to
Love
keep
that.
track of things.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think so yeah, so MIT has another course called it's 6.00.1x, Introduction
Right.
to Computer Science and Programming Using Python. That's a really good course as well. So kind of if you don't want to learn sort of the C um part of CS50, this is a really good sort of alternative, I would
Hmm.
say, because it just focuses on Python. Um, yeah, and then I think there are a lot of like um, AI courses out there as well. I think by Google, by like there's a AI version of CS50 as well that's
Hmm.
focused on AI. Um, yeah, I think if that's an area that you want to look into, I think it's very sort of popular at the moment. I would definitely recommend that as well. And I think this goes without saying, but for anybody who maybe are looking into um, sort of going for a software engineer role,
Hmm.
most of the time it will be like coding interviews. So like data structure and algorithms are like the staple of coding interviews. So there are a lot of courses out there for that as well. So yeah, I think obviously there are a lot of like YouTube videos just that teaches you how to code. Um, and but I think I would highly recommend doing one of these sort of more um, foundational courses where you kind of not just know the surface of not just know how to code, but actually understand computer science,
Yeah.
understand technology. So I think doing one of these sort of MOCs that are completely free is a good starting point. Then you can move on to the more practical, how to write code bit.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I think um, because by then you understand sort of like because being a software engineer is not just about coding. There's like a lot more sort of you understand the networking, you understand sort of API. What are those? This is it's a lot more than just um, writing code. And I think um, one of the mistakes that people often make is to dive straight into like a Python tutorial without understanding anything about computers
Hmm.
or the internet.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so I think yeah, I think that would be like my recommendations. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. And would you recommend as well, like when you obviously you're within the industry and you're in a great role, would you also say it's important to keep doing these kinds of courses to sort of develop with how the industry is moving and that kind of stuff?
Yeah, for sure. Because I am a firm believer in lifelong learning. I
Mm.
think it's this because especially in the tech industry, everything is changing so fast,
Yeah.
and it's so important that we sort of keep up with the latest trend. And I think it's interesting because a lot of the things that are taught at uni in like a computer science degree, they're not necessarily the latest. Because like
Mm.
for example, at universities they always teach Java as like the main language, even though it's not necessarily the most used in the industry or the most sort of it's a very obviously Java is a super useful language, but
Hmm.
it's also very like there's a heavy like academic in academia there's a heavy focus on that.
Yeah.
So I think it's really important to sort of learn like outside as well. Like, so I'm actually doing a master's degree
Oh wow.
at a university in Germany, like University of Osnabrück, and I'm doing mine in like cognitive science, but I'm majoring in artificial intelligence and
Hmm.
neuroinformatics. Um, so yeah, because I always think like I want to continue learning, I'm always a very curious person, and I think it's like cognitive science is a really great it's an area that combines, my academic background, which is psychology, and
Yeah.
my career, which is in tech. So yeah, I just think yeah, and also artificial intelligence is a super hot area. So and I think majoring in that will like give me a lot of really good knowledge, and it would hopefully open doors for me to go into like AI as well. Um, so yeah, and yeah, and I think and also like studying in Germany is free, so that always helps because
Oh, okay. I didn't know
um
that.
yeah, it's free for everybody, even if you're
Yeah.
like doing a master's, or even
Yeah.
if you're international, because I'm an international student. So so it's yeah, I think it's just really
That's pretty
great.
cool.
And
Yeah.
yeah, but also just a lot of online courses. There's so many of them out there. Like if you want to learn anything, you can
Yeah.
just do an online course.
It's
Obviously,
so
you need
true.
the discipline, but at the same time, the possibilities are unlimited. So yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah. Well, this has definitely been a very jam-packed episode, but it's been absolutely amazing, Nina. We've covered so many different elements, and I know that our listeners are going to love every element of it. But thank you so much for coming to join us on here, Nina, sharing your expertise, experiences, and passion for the software industry in so many different areas. How have you found being with us today, Nina?
No, I really enjoyed our conversations, and I think
Yeah.
a lot of the questions that you asked, they made me think as well.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the advice that I am giving, like I think I'm saying that really to myself as well, because I think we all need a bit of sort of um, just like think through what we actually want and need a
Yeah.
bit of encouragement as well. And I think we're all, you know, on this journey together,
Definitely.
and nobody knows everything, and nobody sort of is sort of can just do anything, and I think it's all about um yeah, like trial and error, and also just believing in yourself and not giving up. And I think like platform like this really gives me an opportunity to share my insights and my thoughts, and cause and giving back to the community as well. So yeah, thank you so much for the opportunity for me to share my thoughts, and I really hope it's helpful to the listeners, and I hope I inspired some of you guys to yeah, pursue your dreams. And yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, you've honestly been so inspiring, Nina, and we love working with you. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Before we say goodbye, remember to hit that subscribe button so you can catch all of our upcoming episodes available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or check out our full videos on YouTube or Vimeo. Don't forget to stay connected as well by following us on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, and TikTok at Baltic Apprenticeships for updates and announcements about upcoming episodes. Why not share your thoughts? Your questions and suggestions are always welcome, as we're always looking to bring you topics and guests that matter to you. Feel free to reach out to us at yourfuture@balticapprenticeships.com. Thanks for listening.